I was diagnosed with leukemia in Vermont in 1999 and had a bone marrow transplant in 2000. Once I was diagnosed, I reached out to the Leukemia Lymphoma Society for patient support. They asked me if I wanted to talk to somebody who has been there, CML survivor, bone marrow transplant survivor. And I said, sure. And they connected me with a fellow, and he was at the time a 7 or 8 year survivor. And I couldn't tell you what he said, but the fact that there was this 8 year survivor talking to me said, okay, I can get through this. This is pretty cool. So technically it was chronic myeloid leukemia, and in the cancer world it's called CML. In 1999, it was always fatal leukemia. The good news was that it wouldn't, I had a couple of years before it would kill me, as opposed to more acute aggressive leukemias. The bad news was it was leukemia. And so I had the bone marrow transplant. I was fortunate. My brother was a perfect match for the connection. So we did that. And then a year later, go for a follow-up visit, and it wasn't quite leukemia free. So they put me on a clinical trial for a drug that was brand new at the time. And it worked wonders, because a matter of about 6 months, I was in remission and stayed in remission. I stayed on that drug for 10 years. Interesting, because I went to the cancer center thinking I had blood disorder, but not cancer. And they told me, we think you have cancer, we have to do more tests. I came home and I have to tell my wife. And we were both in that denial stage where it's just like, oh, okay, you have cancer. Oh, that's nice, whatever. But then it hit us. But I wish at that early stage where they thought you might have leukemia, that there was more information available to me. It wasn't. I had to go home, and the web was fortunately not too built up, but what little I could find on the web, like at WebMD or whatever, and it was like nothing was good news. And yet I still wasn't confirmed. Now we think you have leukemia. I'm like, oh no, you're wrong. It's got to be something else, And then it was confirmed, and then okay, now we know. But I guess I wish when you have that doctor's appointment and they give you some of that info, and the more positive info about treatment options, those kinds of things, and not like, oh God, you have leukemia, you're going to die. So that's what I guess I would look for. I got sicker than I thought I'd get, and they can't do. Oh yeah, you get sick, but again, how can you be prepared for that? And so I thought, and other things, you get a cold or whatever, or the flu, and you feel really bad for a little while, and then you get back to normal. And I just struggled for a long time to I had to decide, maybe I'm not going to be back to normal. I'm going to be better. This is it. I'm not going to get back to where I was. But, I was too beat up to do that. So yeah, that was probably the biggest frustration for me. The expectation was, okay, I'm okay now. Or I was always like, why can't I do this? And they said, you had a bone marrow transplant, you have no red cells, or whatever it might be. And I'm like, oh, okay. So, but I want to add that, though, that I kept my sense of humor through the whole thing. And I think that, that's the unwritten piece about it. So although it was frustrating, I could still have a sense of humor about it. Bone marrow cancers and lots of cancers, if you have chemo, there's a thing called chemobrain, and you just don't process as well as you used to. But there's also, I think, even a greater thing, and we've done these national studies of survivors, and like the one physical issue people have is fatigue. And you go, well, fatigue, but it's more than just like feeling like I need to take a nap. It's like feeling like I can't lift my arms up. I'm so tired. I'm so fatigued, so wasted. And so fatigue is a big issue. And it was hard for me because it'd be like, would take me forever to tie my shoes. Why is it taking me so long to tie my shoes? But it was just so, and or to go for a walk or those kinds of things. So fatigue is a tough issue, and different doctors in different places have different ways to treat it. But I'm glad to see that fatigue is being recognized as a post-treatment condition. That's pretty universal in cancer, and but how to get over it, you have to. It's one of those you gotta wait it out. But then the thing is, no matter how fatigued you feel, you should get up. Like the last thing I want to do is get up. Well, no, get up, and move your legs, get up, move, and so that's what I did. I mean, I got up and paced around and then sat back down again and said, okay, now I'll tie my other shoe. Good question. So I'll back up to, 2000, I have a bone marrow transplant. And I said, when I get through this, I'm going to pay back. I didn't know what payback was going to be, but that was kind of my motivator while going to treatment. And then I decided I'd set the goal that I wanted to help one cancer patient every day. That'd be my goal. Now, I've talked to groups of 800 cancer survivors and given motivational talks. So I figured, okay, there's 800 days on it. But, so I was comfortable. But even now, when I think nobody wants to talk to somebody that's 20 years out, they do. And then I feel good because they are so grateful to have somebody to talk to. And I get checkups down here. I'm in the office, and you sit in the waiting room, and I start a conversation with another patient, and they're waiting in the waiting room. Just kind of, let them know that I've been here 20 years, and that kind of stuff. So I'm really comfortable in that role. And I sort of miss it a little bit just because COVID took away all the support groups, all the personal stuff. So I miss that. So it's very positive, and the people we've trained with the Survivor Network to be the connectors, and we'll talk to them and say, well, how did you feel? Did it scare you, or did you feel bad? And most cases, like, no, I felt great because I helped somebody, and it was kind of like, it's bad enough I have cancer, but if I can help somebody, then that's good. And that's been I always say, even in the support group. So because of COVID, our support group back in Vermont's been Zoom. So we've been able to Zoom into the meetings still and talk to the folks. And it's always like, oh, okay. And then we get done, I just feel good. It's so good to hear so-and-so, how they're doing, that kind of stuff. And in a support group, especially with long-term, you get to kind of care about these other people. And we talked about being scared and that stuff. So most important lesson, I think, is to share your story, share your experience, share your fears, share your concerns. So that means finding the person, people, the environment where you're comfortable in sharing. But I think that's an important lesson. My life has changed in that for all intents and purposes, I was 50 when I was diagnosed and treated. And, it took me about a year to recover. So at 51, I'm asking myself that question I asked myself at 21, like, what am I going to do with myself? It must be something new. And I found that sort of keeping my mind open to opportunity, it found me. And so it did make me a better person, older and wiser, and still older. So that was my goal. I didn't share. I'm 50, and the doctor goes, "What's your goal?" I said, "Become an old man." And so now I'm this old man. So he keeps reminding me, like, "Yeah, we did good, didn't we?" Okay. So why am I going through, I have cancer, why am I going through all this treatment and stuff? And it's like, well, okay, to live, I guess is a good answer. Why do I want to live? What's living going to do for me? So I can look back and go, well, I had this transplant, I survived it. My son has 2 kids, so I have 2 grandkids that I would have never seen, and so there's those little bright sides, or looking forward to somebody's wedding or whatever. One of the funny things I found post-transplant is if a friend had a baby, I would like, can I hold your baby for a while? Because there was something about that new bundle of life in my new kind of life type of thing. So I think you kind of look for those. Some people have to measure this is my 1 year, my whatever year and but I think it's more like just what happened that might not have happened had you not lived. So you kind of look at those things or look forward to those things, but you have to have a reason to put yourself through all this stuff. So, and my reason was to not have leukemia. So, but you find that later. But when you're in treatment, you're all about just getting through treatment.